With us today, we're so pleased to have Burt Ward to talk about numerous things, including everything from Batman and Robin to Gentle Giants. Thank you so much for traveling all this way.
Oh, it's great to be here.
Let's talk a little bit about Robin and
Okay.
how you took over that character, how that all happened. Tell me about the audition.
Well, the audition was doing a scene as Dick Grayson. That was the alternate identity of Robin, and then a scene with Adam West, who played Batman. And in fact, we screen tested together. Isn't that kind of interesting? In costume scene. And then some athletic stuff, because I was a black belt in karate, and I broke a board, which back in 1965, not too many people had seen. So I broke it with my hand. So it was a great screen test. They can see it on the internet. You can watch my screen test on the internet. And I was very fortunate out of 1,100 young actors that they chose me to play the role. They said because if Robin really existed, that they felt I would be, just Burt Ward would be the closest they imagined Robin to be. So just to be myself, be enthusiastic, and that's what I did for 120 episodes.
And you loved every minute of it.
Well, now I can't say I loved every minute of it. The first show, I was in the hospital 5 days in a row, emergency hospital. I'd never been in an emergency hospital. I'll just give you a quick example. Day one, 7:30 in the morning, I'm all dressed in my Robin costume. They said, "Oh, Burt, we're here in this Bronson Canyon. We're going to do the famous scene of coming out of the Batcave. So hop in the Batmobile." So I hop in the Batmobile. I look over expecting to see Adam West, but it wasn't Adam West. It was somebody else dressed as a stuntman. It's a stuntman, and he was dressed as Batman. And I said, "Well, who are you?" And he said, "Oh, my name's Hubie, and I'm doing this because it's a very dangerous shot." I said, "Oh, dangerous. Well, wait a minute. Do I have a stuntman?" And he said, "Oh, yeah, you do." "Oh, well, where is he?" "Oh, he's over there having coffee with Adam West." I said, "Wait a minute. Why isn't he here?" And he said, "Well, I don't know. But anyway, it's real dangerous. And in fact," he says, "the more bones that I break, the more money I make." And I said, "Oh, well, good for you." And so I called over the assistant director. I said, "I think there's a terrible mistake here. You've got me in this Batmobile, and this man is a stuntman, and he says he's got to come out at 55 miles an hour and make a sharp turn." He said, "Oh, yeah. I said, "Well, what about my stuntman?" He said, "Oh, we can't use him." I said, "Why can't you use him?" "Oh, because he doesn't look like you." "Well, why would you hire him?" "You couldn't find anybody else." So, boom, we come out at 55 miles an hour. He makes a sharp turn. Unexpectedly, my door flew open. I started to fall out, and I managed to catch my little finger around the gear shift knob, pulled it right out of joint, but it kept me from falling out, knocked the camera over, knocked the lights over, and everybody rushed over afterwards. They said, "You okay, Burt?" I said, "Oh, my hand's killing me." My hand had already swollen up twice the size. And they said, "Look, we got to get you to the hospital." I said, "Oh, thank you." And they said, "Just as soon as we get this shot." I said, "Well, wait a minute. I thought we were going to go to the hospital." No. We got a whole crew. We got to get this shot. And what, isn't it going to take a while?" "Oh, yeah, it's going to be at least an hour before we can shoot again. We got to put the lights up." Anyway, it was like 12 noon when I got to the hospital. And that was the first of 5 days in a row, from third-degree burns to explosions to 2x4s landing on my head, all of this stuff. It was one of the most dangerous shows you can imagine making.
Well, the Cape Crusader, you had to be a little tough, right?
Oh, geez. Piece of trivia, too. You know who Bruce Lee was, don't you?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know if you know this, but Bruce and I were personal friends before Batman. We lived in the same complex, and we used to spar together. So we had a scene on Batman, because that's how the Green Hornet was introduced, same executive producer. And what people don't know, piece of trivia, is that Bruce Lee's first film fight scene of his career was fighting me.
Oh, wow. I did not know that. You learn something new every day. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how you get from that role to where you are today. Much different role.
Right.
But there are similarities.
Absolutely, because on Batman, we were saving lives. And today, I'm really saving lives. In this case, canine lives, Mm-hmm. And I like to say from Cape Crusader to Canine Crusader. And as a charity, my wife and I have done this for 21 years. We're a full IRS licensed charity. People can make donations if they want. And we work for free. We don't get anything for it but the satisfaction of saving dogs' lives, getting them healthy, and finding a safe, loving, forever home for the dogs. In the course of doing that, we learned how to properly care for dogs, which most people don't know. Mm-hmm. There's a special technique that we use. There's a special way we feed dogs. For example, you have a dog, don't you?
I do.
How many times a day do you feed your dog?
I feed him once a day.
That's terrible.
Okay, so tell me what I need to do.
Well, let me ask you a question. Could you eat once a day?
No.
Would you like to wait 24 hours between meals?
No.
Okay. Do you realize that if you waited 24 hours, you would not only be hungry and tired and grumpy, but you would be stressed? Have you ever heard of the term stress kills?
Yes.
Okay, this is the same principle. We feed our dogs a minimum of 5 or more times a day, smaller, more frequent meals. And when I say that to people, they say, well, wait a minute, I can't believe that. I said, look, go ask your own doctor. The next time you have an examination, go in, say, doctor, am I better off eating 1 or 2 big meals a day or 4 or 5 smaller meals? And they say, oh, well, of course, 4 or 5 smaller meals. Well, why don't you apply that to your dog? Well, I never thought of that. You know?
I didn't, but it makes sense to me.
And in the case of a dog, look how long their lives are, very short in comparison to a human being. And what this is that humans are much better designed than dogs. It's much more important for a dog to eat 5 or more times a day than it is for a person. So it is this technique, and also there's a very deadly condition, do you know, that kills 10% of all dogs in America, called bloat and torsion? Do you remember the movie that featured the dog at the end of the movie, Marley and Me, where the dog died?
Yeah.
That's what the dog died of. And unlike cancer, bloat and torsion is entirely preventable. It's how you feed your dog. And you remember when you were a kid and your mom said, don't go in the swimming pool for 30 minutes after you eat? The same principle. You never feed a dog if the dog is under stress or has any exercise. So how we feed our dogs, number 1, we elevate the food. We never put it on the ground.
Right.
That's terrible. But you know there's a correct height for every dog, and the correct height is such when the dog comes over, they simply tilt their head to eat. You never want a dog leaning down or leaning up to eat. That's number 1. Number 2, no exercise, including walking on a leash for at least 1 hour before and after eating.
Before and after.
Absolutely. No riding in a car for an hour before or after eating. Absolutely.
Okay.
The motion, every time you go around a curve, and how we all tend to lean into the curve, what does that do to the dog? It puts the dog off balance. The dog spreads its legs, plants its feet, and tightens on the stomach.
Exactly.
This is what causes this deadly condition. So it is these techniques and many others that we have dogs living as long as 27 years.
Well, let's talk about that. How many dogs have you saved or placed over all these years? You were telling me it's a phenomenal number.
15,000 in 21 years. Okay, every one of those dogs has lived in our home with us. I mean, every single day we feed 600 pounds of gentle giants a day. How much is 600 pounds a day? Well, you know, these big bags of dog food, that's 16 bags a day. And that's a lot of food, okay? And we're not feeding them in a kennel. We're not feeding them in a crate. We're not feeding them in an outside yard. They're in our house, okay? And we stand there outside our door when we're feeding them, and they come right back in. I mean, we're watching how they react to food. We've learned so much when you are there caring for animals 24/7. And that's how we developed our food, and that's how we developed our feeding and care program. And I honestly believe that I don't know anyone in the world that spent 21 years living 24/7 with 45 to 50 dogs at any given time in their home.
I don't either. I want to be sure and talk with you. Obviously, you have all of this knowledge about what you've done with your dog food that's different, because you were saying it can really extend an animal's life.
Oh, it does. Every animal's life. I mean, certainly if a dog got cancer or got hit by a car, okay, that wouldn't apply. But for 90% of the dogs in America, it does apply. And you know, our food, it's very sophisticated. You have to understand, the whole idea of what we did is we went with a concept. I'm not here to try to make money. I am here to try to make these dogs live longer. I've gone to all the trouble to save them from all over the world, spent tons of money on every dog, and I'm just going to let it live a short life? No, not if I can help it. And my wife and I are together on this. So we've spent years developing this. We've spent millions of dollars of our own money to develop a food that's different than every food. What makes it different is that it reacts differently in the dog's body. And it gives more nutrition, and it gives life. And things like these deadly conditions, bloat and torsion, our food was designed to avoid that. Our food was, another thing, are designed for dogs to self-regulate how much they eat. You say, well, wait a minute, why is that important? Well, if you think about it, all dogs are always hungry. because the fat content in the food that is fed to them makes them hungry. Just like the guy in Ohio, remember about 5 years ago, he went into a McDonald's every day for a month, gained 55 pounds and almost died. They made a movie called Super Size Me.
Yes.
It's the same principle. High fat content causes animals to be over heavy. I mean, I think it's 47% of all dogs in America are obese. And so, long story short, we designed a food to help them live longer. And our dogs are so healthy, our own personal dogs. The only time we ever take them to a vet is every 3 years for a rabies update. Now, the ones that come in for rescue, my God, I'm there 5 nights a week with new dogs coming in because they've been on a different food. Maybe they weren't cared for. But our own dogs, and our vets ask us, they say, we never see your dogs. Where are they? I said, they're at home, but they're healthy. They don't need to be here.
Right.
And when you think about it, how much money veterinarian bills are today. I mean, even my own vet with our rescue dogs thanked me for sending his daughter to Harvard.
Which is funny, but it's not funny. So I want to talk about the specifics of the ingredients in the food, because the first thing that you see listed is
the ingredients. Well, ours is natural food. We have no chemicals in the food whatsoever. There's no byproducts. There's no corn, no soy, no wheat. I mean, all of the things that are very, very important. And now other dog foods have some of those, very high-end dog foods, twice the price of ours, have that. But they don't have the other things we have, which are the real life extenders. And that's what we focus on. And we're constantly looking for new ways to help these dogs live longer. Because when you give the gift of life, that's the most precious commodity in the world. What's more valuable than life? And when you have people who love their dogs, during this economic turndown the last few years, do you know that the only thing in stores that didn't suffer were the pet departments? Because people would feed their dogs before they'd feed themselves. That's how much they love them. And I've got something to show you here. On the back of one of our brochures is a picture of my own daughter, Melody. And here I am, my wife, and Melody at 1.5 years with the American Eskimo that we bought her. 20 years later, here she is with the same dog. Just think about it. For a child growing up to have their best friend with them for more than 20 years, what an incredible gift. Because what happens is, you feed other foods, the dog dies at 8 to 9 years of age, and now you're trying to tell a 10-year-old kid about death and why their best friend is no longer with them. When you don't have to have that. You can have them live incredibly long lives. And all of our dogs, here's one 27 years of age. Well, and others 21.
You say, I apologize, excuse me. You
Go
say
right ahead.
It's never too late to switch. So if you have an older dog, you'll still see the benefits if you switch.
You actually see more of the benefits because it undoes the damage. So most people that feed their dogs our food, Gentle Giants, within 4 to 6 weeks, they won't recognize their dogs. And I've had people call me ahead of time saying, I know you're telling me this, but my dog, he is always starving. He would never self-regulate. I could never let him have as much food as he wants. And they call me 6 weeks later and say, I can't believe it. I don't understand. How can this be? Is this some kind of magic? It's not magic. It's science, okay? And we've done this for one reason, to help them live longer. And for the suppliers that also supply other products, my recommendation to them is the following. Make the very best product you can. Don't skimp on anything. Make the quality the best, because in the long run, the cream does rise to the top. And ultimately, you'll be more successful. In the case of us, we're selling enormous amounts of dog food, truckloads and truckloads and truckloads and truckloads, which we never even intended to sell it. We originally made it to keep our own dogs living longer. And what happened is I adopted a Great Dane at 16 and a half, and all you have to do is ask a vet, have you ever seen a 16-year-old Great Dane? Oh, that's impossible. They can't live 16. I have a 19-year-old at home right now, but I adopted this 16 and a half-year-old Great Dane. We took it to the vet because every dog is vet checked on the day it goes home. And the vet says, I see this, but I'm not believing what I'm seeing. What are you feeding this dog? Oh, we have this special food. Can we try it? After 3 weeks, he got rid of all the other dog foods, only had our dog food at his vet clinic. And that's what started this, and one thing led to another, and then the stores started contacting me. And then I got the idea how I came to Walmart. It was about, I guess, 10 or 15 years ago. I walked into my local Walmart, and I nearly fell over. I looked up and I saw oh my God, Walmart is selling HD televisions. And this is a time when HD was new. And I didn't expect Walmart to have them. But
Right.
they did. And that's what gave me the idea, okay? Go to Walmart. They can get it out to more people. And they can, because we don't make any money on it, they can sell it half the price of what somebody would pay in a pet store and not be able to have their dog live past 8 or 10 years.
And you said that's part of what brought you to Walmart because
Exactly.
you believe they're trying to be cost effective and also give
And
great products.
And to reach, I mean, my gosh, if you have the gift of life, you want everybody to have it. You don't want to just have a select few. You don't want to have it just for rich people. You want to have everybody worldwide who has a dog. And just think, dogs are so loving, Neile. I mean, they love you whether you had the best day at work or the worst day at work. It's unconditional love. And why not give an animal, an innocent animal who, by the way, in today's world, a dog cannot survive if a human isn't taking care of it. They just can't get the food. They can't get the care. But why not do something for this animal that all it does is love you? No matter what, it loves you.
Why not give it the best you can give it is what you're saying.
And that's what we're doing.
You've said this a couple times. You said you're not making money off of this. This
Nothing.
really
I
is.
take no salary, neither does my wife. People say, why don't you do that? I said, because if we make any money, because we sell it so inexpensively, basically our cost with a little protection in case you have broken bags or something, you know what I mean? But if there is anything, we would feed it to our rescue dogs or to other rescues. We have charity, so much charity work with it we do.
Talk to me about the packaging, because one of the things that we visited earlier is sometimes in stores like Walmart, they're saying we want less signage possibly, and you figured out a way to carry that over.
Well, I wish I could say it was my idea. It was actually my wife's idea. So instead of like a typical bag of dog food, an airbrushed dog who, obviously if it's airbrushed, you don't know if it's ever, you know, if it's alive or whatever. Certainly not if it's airbrushed. But let's have the actual dogs that are eating the food. Let's have the testimonials of the people feeding the dog. Let's show people how we have dogs that are living into their late 20s, running around like puppies. And that's what we've done. Sure, there's a lot of stuff on there, but there's a lot to tell.
There's a big story to tell there. And something else that you didn't mention, what else? Your phone number. You believe in this product so much. Your phone number is on all the packaging.
Yes. And it's so funny because people will call and they say, well, I saw this number and I wanted to call and I want to ask a question about my dog and feeding and this and this and that. And we don't have other people answer the phone. And the reason we don't is that if somebody's going to take the time to call who loves their dog, you want them to get the very best information. So it's either my wife or myself that answer. And after I talk about a couple minutes, I say, you sound very familiar. And I said, well, and they said, I'm not talking to Burt Ward, am I? Oh, yeah.
Yes,
oh,
you are.
my gosh, you answer your own phone? And I said, yeah, I answer my own phone. Oh, well, and then of course, they want to talk about Robin.
And you get a little sidetracked.
You get a little sidetracked.
I think I did the same thing.
And it's funny, at the beginning of the day, I'm in great shape. By the end of the day, I could hardly talk. I'm down to a whisper.
We are so happy to have you with us today. We want to be sure and let people know that this will also be available on Walmart.com very soon.
Right, and we're going to be in about 200 Walmarts, 1st of March 2016, which is a test, and if we do well, I'm sure we'll be in every Walmart. But even people who want to get our food now by Walmart.com, it's such a fantastic opportunity. No matter what city you live in, you just order online, you don't pay any shipping, and it's delivered free to your local Walmart.
Which was something you liked because you said that's much more cost effective.
If we have to ship it, it's the cost of shipping is almost the cost of the food. But through Walmart.com, it is free shipping. And if they even want it to their house, Walmart told me that for $5 more, they'll deliver it to your house. What a deal.
It is a good deal.
It's a great deal.
Well, we thank you so much for coming all this way to tell us about your wonderful product, and we appreciate you. Is there anything else you'd like to let our viewers know? We've only got about 30 seconds.
Well,
that's tough for you.
Yes, it sure is. Well, love your dogs. They are the most precious friend that you could ever have. The dog is man's best friend. And feed our food if you want them to have an incredible, long, healthy, active life.
Thank you so much for being with us today. Burt Ward of Gentle Giants.